Welcome to GameRomp, a chill podcast talking about games with their two hosts, me, Deanna, and
me, David.
Before we get started this week, if you can like our podcast, subscribe on whichever podcast chaser you use, leave a review, all that good stuff, that would super help us. Thank you, we love you. Now, this week is going to be a special kind of podcast, I think. It's in the almost summer, but technically still spring. We are going through all those semi-fabulous
game shows,
game reveals, stuff like that. So this podcast episode is going to concentrate mostly on the Day of the Devs, because I have a whole write-up on that, but also Game Fest.
Okay, so there was Game Fest, there was Day of the Devs, which was right after, right?
Yep.
And then there was the Xbox show, and then there was a few others that we didn't even watch.
No. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. Who knows? And you don't want to.
I'm, what's the word?
Overwhelmed?
Yeah. You know, it's funny, most years I look forward to this to be like, oh, this is going to be fun. See all these new games, be excited.
But now that you have a job semi with it?
No, that's not the issue. It's just, I don't know, I guess overall I was underwhelmed by all the shows. There wasn't too much for me personally. So it's like, I don't know. I just wasn't feeling it this year, I guess. There's a few things, but we'll get to it, I guess.
Yeah, I wasn't really feeling much between Game Fest. Didn't feel anything during the Sony show. Microsoft is like, whatever, I guess I had a couple of things. Or was that Game Fest? Either way, the one for me was definitely Day of the Dev.
Yeah, I think for me, I had like one or two games in each show that were interesting. And even then, it wasn't like I was blown away and super excited for too much. I mean, even Monster Hunter, which I'm a huge fan of, was like, ooh, this is fun, and I want to see more. But like, the trailers were just...
They brought up more of the cats talking.
There was things I didn't like, and just more questions unanswered. So it's like, well, guess we'll just wait and see.
That's fair.
Yeah, I mean...
Well, in that case, we should start with Game Fest. You can bring up whatever you remember from the Microsoft show, and then I'll take over with the Day of the Devs.
You don't want to go in order? Because Game Fest was first, then Day of the Dead, then...
I don't think the shows themselves have to be in order as long as we stick with one show at a time.
Okay, well...
I know I have a lot for Day of the Devs, so I want you to go through your stuff.
Wow, yeah, you really went and made homework out of this when I was just going to have a conversation about the games that I actually cared about.
We can still have conversations.
Well, in the sense that there's so much about Game Fest that was, and the Microsoft show too, that were just so boring and uninteresting to me personally that I've basically like put it out of my mind. So I'm not going to be able to tell you, oh, these are all the games that showed up, because I don't care. I care about the games that looked interesting to me. So
I mean, I guess. But almost all of the games in Day of the Dev looked interesting to me in one way or another.
That's very interesting. We definitely have very different tastes.
Well, good. Then we have two different views for this podcast.
But I'm also like, I probably don't have the same kind of taste as like the general public, because so much of the stuff in the regular shows were also boring.
Then should we get started?
Yeah. So Game Fest, I think the big thing for me was more Monster Hunter. I mean, it showed some cool new monsters that like go through the sand and stuff. It showed the female player character, because the other trailer showed the male player character. I mean, it's still customizable as always. So that was okay, I guess. It was shorter than the other trailer, but I mean, whatever, it's fine. I have more questions that are unanswered in my mind, so it's just, we're gonna wait and see. But I'm excited for Monster Hunter.
I guess if we want to go in order, the one thing from Game Fest, the first thing that popped up was the Legos game. And it's interesting because, like, the Lego games always look interesting in how they work because, well, obviously it's based off Legos and stuff. But this one was about, like, Horizon Dawn. I don't get into that, really. So
yeah,
I was kind of like,
I like Horizon.
Lego.
I like the original Horizon Dawn, but I haven't played the second one yet. I think that's on PC now, but I just haven't gotten around to it. I like the series, but I have no interest in the Lego stuff.
But you did say you were kind of curious about the Lego monster, or like if it was real, that'd be cool to have.
Well, I made a throwaway comment of like, "Ooh, that would be an interesting like actual Lego thing to have." But I mean, that was a complete throwaway comment because there's no way I'd pay like $300 to $400 for something like that.
Well, maybe it would be one of the cheaper $100 ones.
Yeah, right.
Well, it just made me think that I have like the Hobbit and Lego version, so maybe I'll give that a shot one day. The next thing was Neva, which is, I think that was the one that was made by the creators of Grease, which I never played, but somehow this one looks prettier-ish.
It's yeah,
Like, it's the same style.
it's that
but-
same like painterly style. They have a very nice visual style to them, and yeah, I haven't played it. I haven't played Grease either. I heard a lot about it, and it's just one of those games where I was like, oh, that looks interesting, and then I just never ever get around to playing because I don't know. I want to play other things instead.
What about Civ 7?
Civ 7, who it's basically an announcement of Civ 7 is going to exist one day.
Yeah,
and
that's
that's
fair.
all there is to it.
But
So
I could admit, like, that cinematic was, like, fucking gorgeous.
I mean, sure, but it was just a cinematic, so like
I know.
it was fun, but I'm also of the mind of like, well, I can't get too excited because I don't know what the game is going to be like. So I'm going to be more excited about seeing more info in the future.
Yeah,
Basically,
that makes sense.
it was basically like they made a trailer saying, hey, get excited, you'll see more someday. And yeah, okay.
Do you think they'll work a little bit faster than Bethesda, who's like, hey, we're going to show this title screen of Elder Scrolls 6 or whatever, and then
That was
like,
such a huge mistake. I don't know why they did that.
oh, we're not going to finish developing this for another 10 years. And it's like,
I think it's because people keep asking them about like, where's the next Skyrim or whatever, and it was just, I don't know. I don't know why they did that. You shouldn't tell people we're making this game. It'll be out in over a decade.
Yeah, because it was a while after that they had showed the original, like, splash screen, whatever you want to call it. And then they said, oh, we're just starting, like, the design phase. Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
That's not good.
It was a weird choice. So now people are getting impatient and like, I don't know. We'll see. Again, I don't. This is a tangent. Bethesda. We'll talk about Bethesda later. But unless you want to, no, let's not talk about Bethesda now. Let's get back to Game Fest.
Okay. Otherwise, with the Civ 7, I like the statues of the cinematics, blah, blah. I just hope it goes over better than Civ 6.
Yeah, I mean,
Because people didn't seem to like that too much, and even other
I don't know.
YouTubers I saw, they go back to Civ 5.
I mean, I don't know. I don't keep touch of the Civ culture or whatever, but like,
Okay.
I just know that, yeah, when it first came out, a lot of people didn't like the art style because the art style of 5 is more like semi-realistic, or 6 is kind of cartoony, and I guess some people didn't like that.
I thought it was more about the gameplay.
It's different, yeah. I played Civ 6. I never got all the DLC, so I can't really speak on that, but it was fine.
Next thing is Blumhouse Games. So that was the movie studio, I guess, going into games. But it seems like they want to be a publishing studio specifically for horror games.
Yeah.
Which I think is interesting. That's not a... Is that a thing? Like, I know there's, say, indie dev publishing studios and stuff like that, like Chucklefish. But I don't know of a game publishing studio that works with a specific kind of genre.
Not anymore, not these days. There was a time when Squaresoft was kind of viewed as just, oh, they're the RPG guys. But like, I think nowadays most big publishers, they make a bunch of different games. I don't know. I don't really have much of an opinion on them because they're just a bunch of horror games, and I guess I don't really play too many horror games. I like Silent Hill, but it's less. I mean, it's horror, but it's more like psychological horror and
Well, it seems like they
story driven.
could go with that too, as long as it's vaguely horror-ish.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm being reductive, thinking like, oh, these other games are just gonna be jump scares like Five Nights at Freddy. I don't know. It's a weird thing. Like, I guess I just don't have a huge interest in horror games where I still have like enough nostalgia for Silent Hill that I'm interested in it in just that sense. I don't know. I don't really have too much an opinion about those games. They were fun to look at, I guess.
Well, I guess I'm interested in the sense of the whole idea of just a game publishing studio focusing on a specific genre. So I don't really personally get into horror too much myself either, depending on how wide of a net you want to cast on the idea of horror. But we'll see how that goes. Did you want anything else before I go off the list?
I don't think there was much else in that show that really interested me besides Civ and Monster Hunter. No. Like I said, I wasn't too... I was a little, I don't know, underwhelmed or just kind of...
Almost too chill about it.
Yeah, I guess I just don't really have a huge opinion about a lot of these games. If I'm not interested in them, they're just not for me, and that's fine. I'm not gonna, waste brain space on them.
That's fair. I did have a thought about the Power Rangers one because it seemed like the art style is in the same vein as like when they redid one of the Turtles in Time or something, right?
Well, they didn't remake Turtles in Times. They made a new Turtles beat 'em up. But yeah, it's got that kind of old school 2D style. And sure, I mean, it looks nice. But again, I've never really been much of a Power Rangers person, so I don't really care too
No,
much.
I know. Like I said when we watched it, I remember watching Power Rangers as a kid. You know, oh, I want to be the Pink Ranger because of course. And
I
I
mean,
don't remember anything beyond the first generation, which is interesting because this game seems to be the first generation. So that would
yeah,
be
they're going for that nostalgia, and that's fine.
yeah, and it just seems like it would be a good general beat 'em up.
I guess. I mean, if I wanted to play a beat 'em up, I'd probably play the Turtles one, which I still haven't gotten around to. So
Yeah, fair. Inner Sloth, with all the money that they made, they are doing some good things with that, and they're creating a new game fund called Outer Sloth. So this will be, I guess, a gaming fund for other indie developers to use to finance their games and stuff.
is this
So
the Among Us people?
yes.
Okay, yeah, I remember them talking about that, but again, I didn't really see anything in there that was like, ooh, exciting. But
Oh, I think it's exciting that they're taking the money that they made, which they didn't expect to make that much money, and then they're putting it towards a fund to help other indie dev creators. And
yeah, I
that's
mean,
a good thing.
that is a cool thing, sure. But I mean, just like game wise, like, okay, guess
What
we'll
about
see.
this show?
This show?
I think they're doing. I thought it was Netflix at first. I think it's CBS or
Oh,
something.
you mean the Among Us show or
Yeah,
the cartoon?
yeah.
Um,
I
I
think
don't
they're
know.
kind of cute.
I'm,
I'd give it at least a couple of watches.
sorry, I don't have much of an opinion on like a lot of this stuff. It's like, sure, it's cute. I mean, I never really got into Among Us, so I don't have like the nostalgia for that either. It's a bunch of little bean people, and they're on a spaceship doing stuff, and
Well,
there's
I
like
don't
a octopus
think
monster
this is
after
playing
them.
off nostalgia vibes, but it's just hey, this was really popular with the kids, so I guess we'll make a TV show out of it.
Sure.
Hey, if it puts more money towards their gaming fund, and then that goes towards more indies.
There was another game that was getting a cartoon. I don't remember what the name of the game is because I never even played it. You know what? Forget I
That
said
was
anything.
shown recently.
Yeah, it wasn't in the shows, but it's just another video game that's like, oh, we're gonna make a cartoon, and that cartoon looks interesting to me, whereas the Among Us one doesn't really. Oh, I wish I could remember the name of it. It was some Metroidvania game. Maybe some people will know who are hearing it. It's a Metroidvania game that they did a little bit of DLC with Castlevania. I don't remember the name of it. It's like a roguelike.
Okay.
Anyway, let's just move on. They're making a cartoon. It looks cool. Whatever.
Okay, and one other game, I don't know if this was. I don't remember this in Game Fest. Maybe this was in Microsoft, but it's the only one I kind of vaguely remember. Was Deer and Boy. So it kind of looks vaguely like inside, if I'm remembering correctly. And you get this little deer and you go through the woods and
Yeah.
do this adventure, and the deer grows up and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. It looks interesting to me, and you get to take care of a cute little animal. So that's fine by me. All right. So Day of the Devs. After the Game Fest and being kind of like, whatever, maybe here or there, and then seeing this, and I'm like, holy shit, most of this
That's
looks
funny
really good
because
to me.
after the Game Fest, I was thinking, okay, I'm done. I'm gonna go do something else, and then like,
I'm actually kind of surprised you're not more into indie games.
well, I'm just saying it was
It's-
funny because like I was almost like, okay, let's get out of here, let's be done, and then I think the main reason I stuck around was because like, oh, this is the people from Double Fine, so okay.
Yeah, I was in the kitchen and it was still playing, and I heard it's like that voice sounds familiar. Is that not? And then I looked, and it's Tim Schafer. I'm like, oh, okay, because yeah, we've been going through the Psych Odyssey
Yeah,
documentary,
which is interesting and good, and you should watch it. It's free on YouTube.
yes, it's amazing, and it's just like I didn't know if I was going crazy over Tim for some reason or something, and then they actually do this, and apparently I looked it up. They started this in 2012, so they've been doing
Wow.
this for over a decade.
That's cool.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. There's just the indie games in general just look. Not all of them hit it off for me, but like a lot of them, because it's
I
just
think
they
there
do
was
something
one.
different.
For me, there was one that was really interesting, so I guess we'll see if you bring it up.
Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna. The first game is Simpler Times. Platform is gonna be. Most of these are gonna be on Steam. The release date, it actually already released, so it's about $10, but I think it's like on sale for $8 or $9. And the studio is Stone Skip. So this looked okay and chill. The graphics look pretty good. The music they had for the trailer was kind of like whatever. So it seems to be kind of like a do whatever, simple, chill kind of activity. Like in the trailer, they showed building like a little birdhouse. They showed painting like a coloring book thing. And it's just kind of like, whatever. There is a demo, so I kind of installed it just to see. But I think...
Have you played it?
No, I just installed it this morning, so I haven't touched it.
Mm.
I feel like this would do the same thing to me as Animal Crossing does to me, in the sense that I'll play it for a little bit and then I'm like, why aren't I just doing this in real life? Especially like they showed building the birdhouse and a coloring page. Like for anyone that wants to do that, fine, have at it. And I might try it out still too. But like, especially a coloring page, I can just do that in real life.
Yeah.
I don't know what else is included. I'll see what the demo brings.
I don't remember this game at all.
Actually, this was the first trailer they showed, but I don't remember this from the day of the devs, so they might not have actually shown it.
What?
I don't know. I don't remember seeing this trailer either.
Okay, weird.
I don't know.
Okay,
Whatever.
well, at least I'm not going crazy. I'm like, well, I don't remember this at all. I don't know why
Yeah,
you're bringing
that's
it up then, but sure, okay.
It's just whatever. Quick thing, the Battle Vision Network, which is going to be on Steam, of course, and also Netflix. Netflix had quite a few games on this list.
Yeah.
And I don't know how that's going to work with it, but am I using the TV remote?
I have no idea.
So we'll see. We'll see how that works.
I mean, maybe they have it. They probably have a way to play it on PC.
I hope so. This is from Capybara Games, and it's going to be released 2025. Two quick things. The logo for Capybara Games is fucking adorable. I just want to say that. Like, capybaras, I guess, are just cute in general, but the logo is adorable. And the thing that got me was I watched the trailer. It's not really a game that looks interesting to me personally. It's kind of like a battle or a puzzle thing, I guess.
Oh.
But I looked at... I was watching the trailer, and the voiceover. It's like, this sounds familiar. So it's actually the same voice actress, Abigail Turner, who did the bartender in Death and Taxes. And even in Death and Taxes shit, like the bartender, once you leave, will say like, au revoir, Little Reaper. And the way she says it, there's something clicked in my head. I'm like, that sounds familiar. So apparently Abigail, I just wanted to say that Abigail Turner does voice work for a lot of stuff. So I guess I heard her, and I just heard her in the trailer, and I'm like, oh shit.
Okay.
Sorry, random thing of mine. Next was, I know this was featured, I think in Game Fest, or I think it was Game Fest. Karn, made by the Game Bakers. This is the mountain climbing thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like a simulator.
It looks interesting, but like not for me personally interesting enough that I'd want to play it.
Yeah, I guess it would depend on how expensive it is or is not.
Sometimes I see games like this and I think, oh, that's a really cool idea. But like, it's a cool idea to think about, not so much that I would want to play it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's mountain climbing simulator, basically.
There are
And
parts
it's
of
like,
it that looked really
maybe?
pretty. I think, to me, the most interesting part of the trailer was when she was just walking through these regular areas, because they were like, I like that in games, like, ooh, exploring and seeing new places. But, like, then the parts of the game where it's, like, the main focus of, like, climbing the mountains, I'm like, oh, I don't know, maybe not for me, necessarily.
If they have a demo, I'll definitely give it a shot, just because I am curious how it works. And
That's
I can almost see this like being big on YouTube streams or like Twitch streams, because it's almost similar to Getting Over It, but in a less jokey way.
I wonder.
Because it's like that physics thing, and you have to move your legs and the hands and all that stuff. I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens with it. Next is Pedal Runner from Nanopark Studios, releasing on Steam, obviously. This one, obviously, they're clearly going for the nostalgia Game Boy vibes. The music, the chiptune, I guess you'd call it, the graphics, the simple color palette. So that hit right off for me. I forget if this was made by one person or a whole studio.
There was a lot of
many
made by
studios.
one person games in a Game Fest, actually. I don't know about this one.
Yeah. And it's like, it's about delivering things to people, and also seems to be partially...
I thought it was delivering pets.
Yeah, maybe it's delivering the pets. And like Tamagotchi pet care almost, in a sense, or at least
Really?
part of it. Because like they're showing the pet you have, and then it's like in this little keychain thing. I don't know.
From what I saw, it was like you go to different places, then you play some mini games to like make a pet appear out of like cyberspace or something. And yeah, I mean,
it seems cool to me, so I'm curious about that. Next up is Karma the Dark World from Polard Studios. So this seems to be a Chinese studio, which is going to be interesting because, like, the game says it's kind of like a dystopian world. There's like two worlds. You get the regular dystopian world and then like the horror world on the inside or something, because you're like this person that can go into other people's minds to investigate crimes or something like that. It does seem kind of interesting. It also seems like the most advanced game out of any of them here. Like visually, and just seems like a bigger studio.
Yeah.
My only thing is, if you think you want to play this game at all, if it's up your alley, buy it as soon as you can, because there have been Chinese-made games before that were taken down actually by like the Chinese government, and you can't find it anywhere.
Are you thinking of Devotion? Is that Chinese made? I don't think that was Chinese made.
Was it not?
No.
Because it said there was the Easter egg about Xi Jinping and like
Winnie the Pooh, yeah. But like, I think it wasn't so much that it was made in China, because I don't think it was, but like it got review bombed so hard in China that something happened and they took it down or something.
Oh.
But I think it's back up or in some form or another, so you can play that.
Oh, okay. So there was the Chinese controversy.
Yeah, but that was like, it was just getting review bombed.
Oh, okay. The interesting thing from this one is
Twin Peaks.
Yes, when they showed the red curtains and the chevron black and white floor.
That was straight up Twin Peaks.
Yeah. So it was interesting to see that Twin Peaks made it way over there.
It's funny because so many games are inspired in some way or another by Twin Peaks, but they are usually more subtle about it, whereas they're just like, nope, it's the Velvet Room. It's straight up that.
Yeah, so that seems kind of curious to me too.
Sure, but again, probably not enough for me to be like playing it.
I guess. I feel like because this one looks so well done, it's probably going to be kind of pricey. So, UFO 50.
That one does look kind of interesting to me.
Hey, we finally got one for David.
I almost forgot about that. So, I guess I'd say there's two in this show that I kind of liked. Mm-hmm. I like that in the sense because, well, I grew up with the Nintendo, like the NES. That was like my peak childhood. So, a bunch of those games and like the music of that era, it's good. So if like there's just 50, maybe it could be fun. I think the one thing that I'm not 100% sold on is the idea that you get all of them from the start. And I guess I can see why they would do that, but I think maybe I would kind of prefer it if they had done something like the Reno game. Do you remember, what's it called? Game Master Reno?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. They had, what, 2 of those?
Yeah, there was 2 games that they put out on the DS, and like you would go through, you were basically like, you get sent back in time, and then like you have to live out like the months as this kid, and like you would get the release, like a game, you'd play that, and then you'd get like magazines and be like, oh, this is the next game coming out, and you'd have to wait, and then that gets released and you play that. And you go for, it was like a year or two of that cycle, and that was fun because like it meant that like you weren't overwhelmed with like, here's 50 games, just pick one and play. It was more like, here, play this one comes out soon, then you can play that one, and then this one comes out soon, you can play that one.
Like, I get that aspect, and I can understand why that would feel more of like a progression type of thing.
Yeah.
But there's 2 ideas for me, at least, regarding this topic specifically. One, there's like 2 guys, I guess. I don't know if it's just the 2 guys. They might have people helping them. It's basically the 2 guys making all these 50 games. They're not micro games. They're like full. Some of them are shorter than others. Some of them are longer, but they're like full-fledged games.
Yeah, I mean, that's what the games in that Game Master game were like.
Okay, but they had probably a massive team, I'm assuming, working on this.
And a lot fewer games, actually, to be honest, too. Because I think the Game Master Arena games, there was like maybe like 10 or 12.
So my thing is, like, maybe Derek and the other guy, sorry, I forgot to write down the other guy's name. They're working on all these 50 games and doing this. So maybe they didn't want to take the extra time to write in a whole,
Yeah, I mean,
going through each game. But also the other part to me is it kind of reminds me of those old
bootleg consoles.
Bootleg consoles, yes, thank you. That I would see at like expos and like the
mall.
Big E, the mall, places like that just like, 50 games in one, 100 games in one.
I remember the first time I experienced something like that was in Costa Rica back when I was a kid.
So maybe it's based on that.
And like I guess like they would import these systems from like Brazil or something, I don't know. And like yeah, it's like, oh, here's a Nintendo, it has 80 games in there, and then most of those 80 games is like, this is Super Mario Brothers except
A different skin.
you start on this level, or this is Super Mario Brothers except it's glitchy. And yeah, it was weird, but like as a kid that was interesting. I was like, whoa, I can't believe you have like 80 games built in on here and I have to buy all these games by myself. And like it wasn't that exciting when you actually got your hands on it.
It was more interesting in thought.
Anyway, the UFO one looks, it's not going to be like that. It's going to be actual, decent and good games. And yeah, they're making a bunch, so that looks good. I could go on and on about this game, but we should move on.
Okay, Cozy Grove. This is gonna be another one that's on Netflix and then also mobile. This is from Spry Fox Studios. So this is the one where I could have sworn you said like you didn't like the look of her eyes, but you didn't bring that up while we watched the trailer.
You said that.
Maybe it must have been a different
Maybe
game.
you had a dream or something, because that's weird. Like that game was, as far as I know, that was the first time it was shown anywhere. There's no way I would have had a comment on it.
Maybe it was a ghost game or something. I remember something similar. Anyways, it looks kind of cute. Supposedly it's gonna be like almost a mixture of Animal Crossing, I guess, to some degree, they said. Or, I don't know,
Yeah,
the hand-drawn-ish graphics, stuff like that. If it's supposed to be on mobile, though, I wonder if it's gonna bring up any issues with, like, using energy or...
Well, you looked into the info on it more, didn't you? I mean, surely they're gonna put it on PC or Switch or something.
No, when it said Netflix and mobile.
I don't know. I guess we'll see. I'm not really one for mobile gaming, but my phone sucks, so...
I mean, it looks kind of cute, and again, it's got the Netflix, so maybe they'll do the PC thing. I don't know.
I'm guessing, yeah, because like if you log into like Netflix to watch something on your computer, like maybe you can play it through the browser or something. I guess
that would make more sense. We only watch Netflix through the TV. So.
Yeah.
Next one is
actually, you know what? That makes me wonder. Like, we watch Netflix through our Google TV box, basically, which is like an Android-based thing. So maybe you could get those games on there, and if you can, then it would just take. All you have to do is pair a controller to our little box, and you could play it.
I guess we'll have to see.
Yeah.
So there was Koira. I don't know why I have such a hard time saying that. That's coming out on Steam, made by Studio Tolima. This was the like really simple character and like dog that looks like Rudolph with the red nose.
Yeah, I really like the design of the dog in this.
Yeah, so it seems like you rescue a dog and then you raise it.
Or just go on an adventure with it, sure.
Yeah, I guess. It doesn't seem to have any dialogues. That seems like it might be up your alley.
I like the idea of like it's telling its story without bogging you down with a bunch of dialogue and text. It's kind of like in the way that old games would do their story. Like if you played like Kirby's Dream Land, or
maybe it shows like a couple of pictures or something.
Or like when we played through Sonic the Hedgehog 3. And like you got the feeling of the story of like what Knuckles was doing to Sonic and like their little rivalry, all without a single dialogue box. And it was so cool. I love that. Like that moment when you're in the Eggmobile and like Knuckles is there stopping you and he punches it, and then Sonic just like runs him over. And just like silly little things like that, like just no dialogue, it just does its story without needing that. And yeah, if they do that kind of thing in what is this called, Koira, then I guess we'll see. I mean, sure, it's cute. This was the one game I thought like, oh wow, okay, maybe this could be interesting. But I say that, we'll see if I actually ever play it.
Yeah, really. Next one is Arranger, which had a much longer title. I'll just keep it to Arranger. This is PS5, Switch, PC, Netflix. This is from Studio Furniture and Mattresses. So that's an interesting studio name to choose. Yeah. I'm not usually into puzzle games, but for some reason this one just seems really... I think it's maybe because it doesn't seem like it's time-based, because it was like a some kind of puzzle game and the movement was tied to the music time or something. Do you remember that?
Are you talking about a different game now?
Yes.
Yeah. Was it a puzzle game?
I think so. It was something about the movement on timing with music, and I'm like, I can't do that.
Yeah, I know which one game I know what game you're talking about. I don't remember the name of it. They also did like a tie-in like with Zelda.
Yeah, probably.
I don't remember the name of it. I never played it. Looking at that game always kind of made me feel a little motion sick or something. Just the way everything moved and like it had flashing, it just made me uncomfortable, so I never played it.
Yeah, it just having to keep with time and all that, it would stress me the hell out. So this one doesn't seem to have that. I would love to give it a shot. The art is from Braid's David Hellman. Now, I don't know if he just did the art for Braid or if he made the whole Braid game himself or something, but I don't know how that works, so it's from him. The art is from him. And it also seems like a Spanish-made game, which doesn't usually come up too often. I mean, in the sense that they have, like, the...
It's in Argentina, isn't it?
I don't remember. I just know the guy was
I don't think it was
Spanish.
Oh, you mean Spanish in that sense.
Yeah, Spanish speaking, sorry.
There was a lot of European games. I thought you were talking about Spain.
Because they have the whole Latin America game showcase or something.
There was a lot of game shows that we didn't watch.
It doesn't seem like that gets made often. So it's interesting to see something different.
Sure, that's good.
Then there was Screenbound, platform Steam, studio Crescent Moon Games.
It's like you're looking at a Game Boy and walking in first person.
Yeah, I like how it looks because you get the 3D in the quote-unquote background and you get the 2D on the Game Boy looking device. But I think this would absolutely break my brain. I think this would absolutely break my brain just
Even
like that
more
did.
so.
Yeah. So I'm probably not going to play this, but it does look good. And I'm sure that it'll click for a lot of people. Any thoughts?
Not really my type of game, but I guess it would be interesting to
the concept
see what they
seems
do.
Cool. I would not be able to. Okay, this one is the one that I like because I'm a fucking weirdo. Tom the Post Girl, platform Steam, from Oopsie Daisy Studios. So you're making deliveries as this girl named Tom, and then you can look in the windows and see what crazy shit's going on in the house.
Yeah.
And that's right up my alley. Like, how do I explain this without seeming fucking weird? Like, just the idea of that, like, if I could be invisible and just see how people live their lives.
It's a silly people watching kind of game.
Yeah, and I fucking love people watching, so this is right up my alley.
Yeah.
I need this game.
Okay.
And it looks like cute art, so
it's
that's
cute
also
art. It's
and
goofy
that's the
and
thing.
fun.
That's what I really like about indie games is one, they can go off simpler graphics or just more interesting graphics like hand-drawn games and stuff like that. But also, I don't know, would there be a major studio that does a game about looking in people's windows and seeing weird, crazy shit going on? Like, all the big games are, like, fighting games. Like, oh, fight people in this game, fight people in this game, play this multiplayer game, fight this game. It's
There's
like
games where you, like,
shit.
where you are, like, a photographer and that kind of thing, but...
Are those also indie games, though?
No. I mean, I remember, like, one of the launch games for the PS3 was basically you're in Africa and taking pictures of animals.
I guess. I guess it depends on where you go with indie games versus, like, a big-ass studio.
Yeah.
Like Capcom or something.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know. It's just indie studios can do this kind of weird shit that bigger ones probably don't want to, quote-unquote, waste their money on. Then there's Psychroma, platform Steam, studio Rocket Adrift. This seems to be like a story-heavy game with unusual sprite graphics. Like, it's sprite-based, but they're out of proportion almost, if you will, like a rough type of draft. According to the developers, I took this like straight from the trailer. It said it's a game about identity and how bad it might be to have that stripped from you. So this is gonna play into some politics stuff. So unfortunately, I'm sure some shit will come from that when it releases, whatever. But like, to me, that seems interesting.
I don't remember this game at all.
Okay, there was the one other dev who was like, you know, being black and white at the same time or being mixed, and like neither side fully embraces you.
Oh, is this the game where the character has like amnesia or memory problems or something?
Yeah, I think that was kind of part of it. So
yeah,
it's like a cyberpunk type of style.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I remember this. I remember seeing this, and it's really not the type of game I would probably end up playing. So yeah,
I might check it out because story heavy game. I'd be interested to see how that works. Okay, this is another one that is absolutely fucking bonkers, and I love it. Building relationships. This is where you're playing a house in like a date simulator.
I think he said it wasn't a date simulator.
Well, he says you're a house going on dates. So whether that counts as a date simulator or not, I don't know.
I don't remember what his comment was. I think he was kind of all over the place being goofy about it, which is fine. It looked goofy and funny. That's fine.
And you're playing a house that rolls around this island, and you talk to other buildings, and then when you go fishing, you fish up cars.
Yeah.
Like, even he said it's like, even the devs call it the stupidest game in the entire show. So I fucking love that. Let's just, yes. Yes, please. Another game is Hello Again, platform Steam, Studio Soup Island. So this seems to be a time loop based game where on this island and none of the other NPCs realize that they're in this, like, I forget if it was like 12 or 16-hour time loop or something.
Yeah, like Groundhog Day.
Yeah, basically. And I just think this is cute. You're gonna go around helping the villagers that don't realize what's going on. So it kind of reminded me, I guess, of Majora's Mask. Like, that's a time loop, a little longer time loop. It's 3 days instead of like 12 hours or so.
Yeah.
But you go around there and help the villagers and see all their stories and stuff, right?
Yeah, and I really liked Majora's Mask.
So maybe this would work for you. But there's also anthro characters, so I don't know if that's gonna like freak you out or something. Because you play as like a little fairy guy.
You know, I don't even remember the visual style. Like, I remember the concept of this game. I don't really remember what it looks like.
Also, this was another game built by like a whole just one person. So that's a thing too. It's really cute art style. I don't even think it's shaded. It might be completely flat color. But it looks cute. I like it. Next is While Waiting. This is going to be on both Steam and mobile, which I guess makes sense. The studio is Optilusional Games. So it seems similar to some of the... Do you remember watching some of the games that the GameRomps played? Where it's like... It was a Japanese game and it's black and white and they were like in a relationship, so they have to figure out how they're going to play the game, and then at the end it gives them a rating.
Yeah, I know the game.
So this kind of reminds me of those games. So they're like mini games, maybe a little... I don't know if it's shorter micro games like WarioWare or slightly longer. It seems to be in that idea like, oh, you're put in all these different situations of waiting for something and you just like fuck around in there, I guess. It seems cute.
Yeah, it looks silly and fun. Yeah. Like pretty much all of these are. That's like this one is silly and fun. This one is fun and silly and cute.
Yeah, it's like the basic gist of it. Here we're going to have After Love EP. I'm not entirely sure what EP stands for. The platform, this one's interesting because it's basically everything. Most of them were like Steam. Some were on mobile. This one's just fucking everything.
I really like the look of this one.
The studio is Pixelnesia. I probably fucked that up. I'm sorry. It looks like anime graphics with story about a boy.
Really.
I don't know. It looks anime inspired to me.
I mean, yeah, I guess you would say anime, but like it has a very unique look to it. It looks like it kind of reminds me of like, this is gonna sound weird, but you remember oekaki on the, like, people would go on the internet and draw like on, like you would see a lot of those kind of like simple. It's anime styled, but like simplified. It's and really cute. I really like the visual style of this game.
Well, that's good. I hope you maybe think about buying and playing it. But the story is about the boy who hears his girlfriend after she dies. Now, the sad thing about this one is that I guess the main dev or just one of the devs of this game passed away in 2022. So the other dev, who is his friend, is really excited to get this game out there because it was like his story.
Yeah, that's really sweet.
So definitely, if there's one game off this list, maybe you should try that one just because, you know. But it's just like, it's heavily based about the passed away dev's love of Jakarta in Indonesia.
Yeah, that's another interesting aspect of it. It's just like,
we don't see Indonesian stuff very often.
Just like this little city that like it looks really, honestly, it looks really good. The art style and the setting. Again, I'm probably not gonna play because it's still kind of one of those walking around story kind of games. Is like not really super into, but
will
it's
you at
pretty.
Least watch someone play it? I guess
that feels even worse, honestly. I would feel bad doing that because then I'm not giving them money. So I don't know. It's okay. Not every game has to be for me.
I know, but you just like praised how it looks and you want it, and then you're like, but no.
Well, sure. I can praise a lot of games for being beautiful. Doesn't mean I'm going to play them all. Okay. I just think it's a beautiful looking game. Yeah.
And last on the list is Phoenix Springs, which is also just going to be on Steam. This is from Caligram Studios. This one, okay, fine. I guess I'll literally just reiterate what you went through. I mentioned this because it's a point-and-click game, which doesn't get made too often anymore. I mostly just wanted to say that, like, the visual style made me think of, like, I guess really old comic books, or like that. There's a certain, like, drawing style that I
Was this the one that was, like, heavily green?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Black and green.
It had a very interesting look. And when I saw it, it made me think immediately back to the days of like King's Quest. So yeah, it looks
But it's not like
interesting.
pixelated either.
No.
It has it probably looks like it has a filter where it's like that, maybe like sketchbook paper type of look to it.
Yeah, it has a. It's just hard to describe it. It has a very interesting, unique look to it.
But I'll say this probably won't be playing it.
Yeah, well,
Just as a
now
thing.
you know how I feel. I mean, you just hammered me for saying, "Oh, this looks."
I know, and that's why I brought it up, because like, oh shit, now I'm gonna.
But it's fine. Like we can appreciate how something looks and be
I think it's a little too dark. Like the art style is interesting, but yeah, it's mostly like dark green and black.
You know, I will say a lot of this. Oh, this game looks beautiful, but I'm not going to play it. This is coming from a place of poverty, I guess.
Well, okay,
I mean,
fair.
look,
That's another thing. A lot of
I'm
indie
not made
games
of
might
money.
be cheaper.
I'm not made of money. I can't. There are like, I think there's one game, two, maybe three in here that I'd be like, ooh, I maybe would play that. But like, then there's a bunch of other games where I'm like, wow, this game is really beautiful. But like, I can't just buy a game because it looks really beautiful and like I'm gonna play it for that, because like I don't have that kind of money to be throwing around.
No, I mean, I know. I do want to play most of these, but I realize like if some of these are gonna be in like, oh, it's now released and it's $20, I'm gonna be like, shit, I can't afford that right now.
Yeah,
But
it's like it's tough. Hopefully, more people that are like working really good jobs and making like the median U.S. income can buy a lot of these games and play them. But
yes, if you
for
have
me,
the
I have to be
money
more
and
picky.
these games look interesting, please go wish list these. Go buy them when they release. Just try and support these indie game studios.
Like even the games that I think, like the UFO one, I would love to play that, and but like I would
I can
still.
imagine that being kind of expensive because there's so many games in it.
That's the thing. Like I'll have to like balance. Like okay, how many other games do I quote unquote I would love to play come out this year, and like have to balance out. Am I gonna get this one or this one? Which one's gonna give me the most bang for my buck? Because well, my buck is it's got to be stretched a bit thin. So yeah, for me it's
Yeah,
tough.
but then when like Monster Hunter comes out for $60-$70, you'd probably spring for that, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. But you know what? I play Monster Hunter for like 200 plus hours, so I'm getting my money's worth.
Yeah, I guess.
Versus like, for example, Alan Wake 2 looks super interesting to me. It's got that like weird, almost Twin Peaks energy to it. I love it. But can I justify the money
Did
per
you play
time?
the first one? Because I think we
No.
have that. We also have American Dream.
Yeah, but like I don't know. I think the second one looks more interesting. So it's like, yeah. To me, that unfortunately, yeah, that is the thing I think about. Like, am I gonna spend $60 on this or 20 or $30 on this? For example, I spent $30 on Pal World, but I played that game for like almost 100 plus hours, so that feels fine. Versus like, am I gonna buy an indie game for $20 and then get like 10 hours out of it or 5? It's tough. I mean, for me personally, it's just money is an issue, and I know it is for a lot of other people too. So we all gotta make our own decisions about this kind of thing.
I suppose. Well, I'll try to at least maybe get a couple of these games, but I do wish I could play almost all of them.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could play like also like just the amount of time in my life and
Yeah,
day.
that's true. Well, that's another reason to like a lot more indie devs. Like, okay, fine, UFO 50 probably take a long time, but if you could afford it, these games are not going to be like 50-hour RPGs and all that stuff. They're going to be short, sweet, and to the point.
Yeah, I guess that's also another like personal preference thing, because like I know that sounds great to a lot of people,
Especially me, I can only handle a game for so long.
but for me, I really like getting immersed in a game and just being sucked into that world for hours and days or weeks at a time. So it's like
I can only do that if I manage to get quote unquote lucky and have a hyperfixation. And then once even that goes, it's just like, okay, I gotta drop this now.
yeah, I mean, everyone's different in that regard, but I kind of like big games that let me do that and be like, oh, I can just jump back into this world again.
Well, that's why we have us two different opinions.
Yeah.
And that's, we get a little bit of a clash, I guess, but also just different opinions and make it somewhat interesting to people to listen to.
Should we save the Xbox one for next time or just go into
Yeah,
it?
probably.
Because it's a big one.
Yeah. So let's do that. We'll do Xbox and maybe we'll go over what we've done in the past 2 weeks.
Sure. I will say one more thing. This wasn't, or maybe it was in a show somewhere, I don't know. But it wasn't in any of the shows we saw. I saw a new trailer for, I don't remember if it's called Metal Slug Tactics, but apparently they put out a new trailer, and there's a game that I would really love.
Yeah, I mean, holy shit, you want to go for really good pixel art? They got the best. Or,
Oof.
uh-oh.
Well,
Oh,
okay,
no.
you said that, but like,
Their past games have some of the
yeah,
best pixel art.
of course, Metal Slug has like their top of the tier sprite work. I don't know who's doing the sprite work for this. It's good, but
It's not Metal Slug good.
yeah, but that's okay. I mean, that's like
Also, is this going to be mobile
you
like the
have
last one you played?
just way too much to live up to comparing yourself to the masters of Metal Slug. So I can't really hold that against them. So the sprites look fine.
Could they not reuse the sprites from the last one and keep it
It's
that
a different
quality?
style. It's because it's isometric.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, I don't want to get into that. I don't want to be mean. They're doing fine. It's just like, wow, you got a lot to live up to. It's not your fault.
Is it mobile?
No, I think it's on everything.
Okay.
Oh god, if it was on mobile, I probably would not care. But yeah, it's
Well,
basically
you
a
say
tactics
that, but
game.
you played the mobile game.
Oh yeah. The interesting thing about that is that they use a lot of the sprites from the old games in that. And then when they did make new sprites, because they either did a really good job, or you could be like, oh, they kind of cut in corners here. Anyway, you're getting me distracted, and I'm gonna go into tangents.
Okay, well, we'll talk about Microsoft next week, and
Yeah.
we'll go over what we've been playing these last 2 weeks, and hopefully by that point I will have finished Thousand Year Door.
Yeah. Okay. Metal Slug Tactics looks good. So do some of these other games. And
Support indie devs, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.